So, hi guys, I'm Pranav. I am blockchain analyst at Matic, and I'll be giving you a brief intro of what Matic is, what we are doing, and things like that. So, let me just quickly share my screen and we can start it from there. All right. Okay. So, Matic is a, so let's just get started and see why we actually needed Matic, why we need second layer scaling solution when we have Ethereum and things like that. So Matic is a second layer scaling solution on top of Ethereum networks. In 2017, right, when Matic was founded, at that point in time, Ethereum, there was this very famous game known as CryptoKitties. It was booming apart, but despite its like what we can say, very fame and things like that, we actually, people started to realize that you cannot directly build a game on the Ethereum networks and make it scale. There were a lot of slow transaction problems, high gas fees problems, and poor user experience that people faced while deploying their game NFT, or even for that matter DeFi on the Ethereum networks, right? And that was the time when Matic was founded. We were founded by a vision to actually be a shadow of Ethereum while supporting the Ethereum ecosystem, being a shadow of Ethereum, being a second layer scaling solution to the Ethereum networks, and scaling the decentralized application. So let me just tell you how the Matic works, how are we able to scale Ethereum, and how while you are executing on Ethereum, you can still verify, validate on the Matic networks. So you can be on the Matic networks as a side chain or as a commit chain, while you can still utilize the ecosystem of what Ethereum is, right? So let me just give you a little technical deep dive, right? So this is the Matic layer, right? This is the Matic execution layer. So you do all your transactions like what you were doing previously on the Ethereum networks, you'll be doing it on the Matic networks. And this execution, 256 blocks will be Merkle rooted and pushed towards the Ethereum networks, right? So you do your executions over here, that is the Matic networks, and they are Merkle rooted and pushed towards the Ethereum network. So in what that means is that you are doing the execution of the Matic while you can verify your stuff or whatever you have on the Ethereum networks, and you can stay connected to whatever is deployed on the Ethereum networks with the data tunnel and related advanced topics that you can see in our docs, right? So that is the beauty of Matic networks. And the best part, which all the developers who are developing on the Matic networks will like is that this Matic sidechain is totally EVM compatible. What that means is that you don't have to change any of your Solidity code. You don't have to change any of the developer tooling that you're using. You can use Truffle, you can use all the oracles that are possible, wallets, build meta transactions, everything is remains the same. We have our own blockchain explorer, we have our faucets, everything is available. You don't have to change the code, you just have to change 5 lines of things on the Matic side of things, and you are, instead of deploying on the Ethereum networks, you're deployed on the Matic networks. So because of this kind of approach of executing on Matic and deploy verifying on Ethereum, what kind of results we are able to get. We are already live on the main networks. You can on the we are already live, our main network live back in June, July, right? So because of this particular approach that Matic is having, we have 7.2k plus transactions happening every so this is a TPS which is achieved, and 2 second block time is ours. Like the cost of transaction is very cheap. Like you can do 3 million transaction in $10 or something like that, and we are totally EVM compatible, as I told you. And your focus is more on the user experience when your dApp is deployed on the Matic networks. For example, there is an application known as Polymarket, right? It works so seamlessly that you will not even realize that it is deployed on the Matic networks, which is a side chain to the Ethereum networks. It works so seamlessly, right? So that's what we have been doing, or we are trying to achieve at Matic. And because of this particular nature or of the Matic network, we have got a good amount of growth since our mainnet went live. As I told you back in July, we have 100k plus transactions per day at an average happening now. 160k plus wallets deployed, 100k plus developer community with us. We are very active on Telegram, we are very active on Discord, and we've been literally helping all the developer initiatives like hackathons and build and earn accelerator programs and things like that. Having been said that, already 80 plus dApps are live on the Matic main networks, and 100 plus more are coming very very soon. So that's the growth of what Matic has been doing. And as I told you, it's a sidechain which is EVM compatible, and that is the reason why people love Matic, because you don't have to change the code. I'll just give you a brief as to how easy it is to deploy on the Matic networks, right? So let's go to our remix. This is our remix, right? Here you can see there is a small smart contract that I've deployed, very very easy. Let me first be just yeah let me first be on the Robson network. Right now I'm on the Robson networks. I'll first of all deploy the application on the Robson network, and then deploy the same on the Matic networks. You will see right now I will not change any code or any code structure or anything like that. I'll just make some changes in the RPC URL and you're done. Right, let's just try to deploy, confirm, right? And I'll be able to deploy on the Robson network. Robson network is the testnet to the Ethereum networks, right? So I'll be able to deploy, right, on the Robson network. And now let me try to deploy on the Matic test network. So first of all, I go here, I go to custom RPC, make it Matic testnet. So we have a testnet and we have a mainnet. Since we are doing a hackathon, I'll be doing it on a testnet. Although, deploying on mainnet is also very, very cheap. RPC Mumbai Matic testnet, chain ID 8001, symbol Matic, Explorer this, save. Right. And now let's deploy the application on the Matic networks as well. So let me just, so I have the Matic testnet now. Instead of the Robson RPC, I'm on the Matic testnet. And now I'll be deploying on the Matic networks. Deploy, confirm. Oh, so right. So the funny thing is that the Robson thing is not done, and still the Matic thing has already been covered. So this is how I was able to deploy on the Matic networks directly without I did not even touch the code. I just changed some RPC URLs and we were done. So this is the beauty of Matic networks, EVM compatibility and fastness, right? This is the experience that Matic brings into the picture. Let's just do a transaction and get this done. Set name, confirm. Right, and we are done. So this is how you can deploy on the Matic networks. This is how easy it is to deploy on the Matic networks, right? Let's just see a particular transaction, right? Let's just have a look, and we can have a look on the, on the Explorer that Matic has created. You can have a look here, right? So see, this particular transaction happened, right? And it 22 seconds ago, right? And it's happened so fast. So this is the Explorer that Matic has created. And as I told you, Truffle, all the things that all the developer tooling that is required is already available. You just have to go ahead and use it. On that, I'll just tell you that, if you want to follow along, if you want to deploy your application on the Ethereum, that's great. I would suggest you, since it is so easy to deploy on the Matic networks, just go ahead and try it out. These are some of the links that you will, that will be really helpful. I'll put it in the chat. For the bounties, this is the blog ID. Again, I'll put it in the chat. You can have a look and see, which particular app project that you're building might help you over there. Also, if you're building something and you're facing any problems, I'll just give you my Telegram ID right now. Pranav Matic. I'll give you, this is my Telegram ID. You can just ping me and I'll help you around whatever is, is the thing. Let me just post it to everyone. Maybe, Denver can help us with that. So I have posted my Telegram ID. You guys can have a look and go through that. So that's all from my side. Now I'll be giving the floor to one of our ecosystem partners, which is Decentology. Using Decentology, you can seamlessly, very easily deploy your decentralized applications on the Matic networks. So yeah, Nick, go ahead.
Great. Thank you, Pranav. That was a great intro to Matic. I'm very excited to be here. I'm Nick Kalyani. Good evening to everybody. I'm coming to you from Mountain View, California, so it's a bright and early morning for me. Let me go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll get going. All right. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of Decentology, and my session today is going to be about building and deploying on Matic. My Twitter handle is @techbubble. You can follow me there. And please do join our Discord. It's bit.ly/decentd. if you have any questions about how to build, etc. So the product I'm going to talk about today is called DappStarter. So let's go to the next slide here. There we go. So what DappStarter gives you the ability to go from start to full stack production grade Dapp in about 15 minutes. The process is very simple. What we have is a website where we have created feature modules that abstract basically design patterns of smart contracts. So you make whatever choices you want, and we generate then a brand new GitHub repository for you with the full stack code. That includes the smart contract, unit tests, the web client UI, and also the server-side API. So once you're done with that, you can deploy. So you can find that on DappStarter. So I'm gonna now go straight into working with that, and we're gonna go ahead and build a Dapp on Matic. All right, so here is the DappStarter page. It's at dappstarter.decentology.com. And we are blockchain agnostic. Matic is one of the blockchains we support. We are really excited to do that. So once you make a choice of the blockchain, then you choose your language. In this case, right now, it's only Solidity. You can choose the front-end framework you want. We support Vanilla JS and React. I'm going to go with Vanilla so that it appeals to everybody in the audience here. And then we get into some of the smart contract features. As I mentioned, we have a number of modules, and we are going to continue to add to these modules as we go. So we are continuing to extend our partnerships, and we'll add new and exciting modules. So for today's demo, I'm going to choose a couple of simple things. I'm going to choose contract run state. This is a very simple module that allows you to turn your contract's operation on and off, kind of like hitting pause on your contract in case you want to do some maintenance or something like that. We also support, tokens and things like that. But today, what I'm going to do is going to use this module here called IPFS documents, which essentially allows you to integrate IPFS, which is decentralized file storage, into your smart contract. So I'll make that choice, and then I'm asked, well, what kind of document storage do you want? So we're going to choose multiple document, upload with folder. So you can see there's other modules here. So there's an entity module, which allows you to manage any kind of collection of objects. So if you're creating a smart contract with widgets, then you can call your entities widgets. If you have people, you can just have persons, and so on and so forth. Ultimately, here you have to give yourself your Dapp a name. So I'm going to call mine Matic demo, and then you hit create Dapp. So I'm already logged in, but it's going to ask you to log in. So you can choose GitHub or Google login, etc. And this takes about a minute. And right now, our proprietary code engine called Hypergrep is crunching away and generating a brand new GitHub repository for you. So once that's done, we'll go ahead and clone that, and then we'll start coding. So as I mentioned, it takes about a minute. One of the things I do want to mention is, we are working on a feature module called NFT Composer, which is very, very exciting and should be released very soon on our website. This will allow you to create NFT dApps of very simple and very complex functionality very, very easily. All right, so now our GitHub repository is done. Let's go to it. So here it is, generated fresh 40 seconds ago. I'm going to go ahead and select the URL here. And then moving over to the right here, I'm already in Visual Studio Code, and I have my prompt up here. I'm going to do git clone and paste that link and clone it. That was quick. Let's go ahead and open it. So this is the workspace that was created for me. All right. So now that that's done, I'm going to spend some time explaining what all this is, but let's start with actually getting the dependencies first. This is actually the longest duration task there is. And for that, what you do is you type yarn. So once you type yarn, our scripts are going to start executing and going to download all the dependencies. That takes about a minute and a half, sometimes a little bit more. While that's happening, I'm going to show you what's happening here. So we use a Lerna mono repo. So Lerna makes it very easy to manage multiple packages in one project. And what you will find is we've done all the orchestration so that you can have your first DApp running in minutes. In these packages, you can see that there's a client folder, a dapplib folder, and a server. Now, the most important folder here is dapplib. It is the heart of the package. And we've designed this library in such a way that we are building a web app today, but if you choose you want to build a mobile app or something like that, you can use dapplib as is. So dapplib houses all the contracts. And one of the things that we try and do in all our code, including the contract code, the UI code, etc., is conform to best practices. We want to make it super simple and super easy for you to get building. So I'll come back to this in a moment. It looks like this part is done here. So now I'm going to go into a special thing that you have to do on Matic. And what we are going to do is, as part of this work here, we are going to generate some test accounts for you to work with very easily. Now, those test accounts need some Matic cryptocurrency in them in order to be able to submit transactions. And so for that, what we have done is we've automated the ability for you to fund those accounts through Matic's faucet. And the way you do that is you type yarn faucet. Now, what we found is that the faucet doesn't always load up the currency immediately sometimes, and you have to run it a couple times. So you can see here, I'm just going to close this for a moment. You can see here that there's about 10 accounts created, and the balance on one of them has already been granted some tokens. So what I usually do is run this about 3 or 4 times in a row, and it takes care of filling it. What we are looking for is for the account 0. We want to make sure that that one is funded. We don't have to wait for the others. The reason we want account 0 to be funded is because that's the one we use to deploy all our code and things like that. So as long as you get 0 and see some funds in there, you're good to go. Otherwise, you need to just hit yarn faucet a few more times until the 0 account gets funded. And usually I've found that by the 4th time or so, they're all funded. So it's not something that's very time consuming. All right, so getting back to this here, we have all the contracts, etc., created for you. And I'll just go into this Dapp state, which is one of the main ones. One of the things you'll see is that we have taken great pains to really comment out the code well so that you can understand it. And we've also, it should be very clear to you which particular feature module a code originates from. So you can see that this code came from an admin module. This one came from contract run state. By the way, this admin module was automatically pulled in because we selected contract run state. You don't want anyone to be able to go and pause your contract. So we automatically give admin capabilities. And there's the IPFS module. I'm gonna see if I can zoom out a little bit here so you can see the code better. There we go. So you can see that it's heavily commented to make it super easy for you to change. And it does conform to best practices for security, for efficiency, and so on and so forth. All right, so now we've created the dependencies with Yarn. We have loaded up tokens using our faucet. So it's time to start the orchestration. For that, we go Yarn start. And what this does is kick off a large number of scripts for us. This includes, first and foremost, creating a workspace, which you will see very shortly. And then what it's going to do is it is going to compile our smart contracts, which is what you're seeing right now. And then it is going to deploy them to the Matic testnet. So that's pretty fast. And thanks to Matic's speed, this is almost like working with a local blockchain emulator. It works really fast. And that we find that pretty amazing. So you can see here your contracts are being deployed. Under the hood, this is using Truffle for those of you who care about those kind of things. So if you're familiar with Truffle, that's what we've orchestrated here. So everything here goes about very seamlessly. And in our tests, we have gotten from creating the Dapp on the website to having it fully running in our dev environment in 1 minute and 22 seconds. That's the fastest we've ever done. And we can always get faster than that. So right now it's deploying, and now you can see the client is compiled. And over on the left, my browser is kicking off. And very shortly, you'll see that the the client, which was created and compiled using Webpack, the server, which is using Nest.js, was done. And there we go. Our Dapp is up and running. And you have what we call dappiness. All right. So in our effort to make it very easy for developers, what we want to do is not only give you this whole environment where you can develop very quickly, but also make it easier for you to code and really the workflow of blockchain dApp development to ease that as much as possible. So for that, what we've done is we have taken every module you choose and automatically created a UI test harness for it. So you can see that I chose two modules. One was automatically pulled in. Let's start by looking at that contract run state module. So you can see here that this one, it has two functions, a view function and a write function, essentially a read and write. And as I mentioned, for every module you choose, there's always going to be a fully ready to use UI. We call these action cards. So there's a view action card and there's a write action card. And what these do are wired up automatically to work with your smart contract code. Not only are they wired up, but everything is set up for hot loading. So if I go and change and save my contract, everything is automatically going to be recompiled, automatically redeployed, and repackaged in the client. So you can see that. All right, let's go ahead and click this. And you can see that we have a report here that the contract run state is yes. And that's to be expected. We just started it off. And the initial state of that variable is true. You can see that here. The contract run state variable is true. So now what we can do is submit a transaction to change it. And that's set contract run state. So over here on my right, there's going to be a function that changes that contract run state. So let's go ahead. See, there it is, set contract run state. And what's actually happening when I click this button is that this particular function is being called, but it's being called via an abstraction layer that we have created in DappLib. And I'm going to show you that right now. So what we have is a file here called blockchain.js, which will be of interest to all of you. This is the abstraction layer for Matic. This is the only file in here where there's anything related to Matic. It's specific to Web3 and the Matic framework. Everything else is abstract. So DappLib, which contains all the code, does not care which blockchain it's interacting with because it uses a reference to blockchain, and blockchain.js is where all the specific aspects of the blockchain are there. So if you are coming to this from JavaScript development, you should find this really, really easy to do. The reason being that we have actually made this very much similar to REST API development. There's a get for the blockchain, and there is a post for the blockchain. And that's it. So that corresponds to the read and the write. And so all your work that you do would be in DappLib to create functions that call into blockchain and either do a get or they do a post. And that's how you build your app. So let's go ahead and submit this transaction here to write to the blockchain. And you can see that transaction was submitted. And this particular transaction also had an event that was fired, and that event was trapped and displayed here in the UI. So you don't need to go anywhere to look for these kinds of things. If you ever want to verify things, you certainly can copy this transaction hash, and you can go to the Event Explorer here for Matic's testnet, paste that transaction code in, and you can see that that transaction was in fact created on the testnet. So my session topic was build and deploy. What you should have seen here is that the deploy is implicit. We automatically have everything wired up, so it's deployed and functional on testnet. You don't have to do a thing. It just works. All right, so now let's go ahead and look at some of the other modules here. So in particular, this is one of my favorite ones. It's IPFS documents. What this does is allow you to upload documents to IPFS and automatically create a reference to them within the smart contract. As you can see, the action cards for it are already present a rich UI. So we've got the complete UI for you to upload and manage files. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's upload a few pictures. So I'm going to choose 1, two pictures and open up. So we automatically got those thumbnailed, and we can say this is a test, and we'll go ahead and submit. So what this is doing at this point is exercising the IPFS module capabilities. And you can see that that also fired an event, but it also, as part of the result, it gave us a URL on IPFS. So let's go ahead and click on that. And you can see that the photos were correctly uploaded to IPFS in a folder, because that's what we had chosen when we first created the application with IPFS. We had chosen folder. And so they are in a folder, and you can see that the images were correctly uploaded. So going back here, I want to show you some of the functionality of this particular module. So I have here a document ID that was created, which means that this particular transaction resulted in a reference created for these IPFS files in the contract, and there's a document that goes with it. There's also a transaction that was generated, which you can go and verify on the Explorer. But let me go ahead and copy the document ID here and exercise this function here, which is get document. So if I paste in the document ID that was just created, it should bring me back a reference to the content that I created, because that is what's got stored in the smart contract. So let's do that. And sure enough, there's the label I created. And there is the document digest, which is essentially the URL. Sorry, the multi-hash is right here. And that's essentially the URL of the hash that was created on IPFS. Similarly, this has the capability for you to query documents by owner. I went in there as the admin. So let me go ahead and view and see if it comes up. Yep. And I do get that same doc ID. So you can see that this is really well integrated, and it's super simple to change. Let me show you how you can change it. So let's say I want to start making some changes on the client UI. I mentioned that there's hot loading, so let's explore that. So you go into the client package, into source, Dapp, pages, harness. Yeah, it's a little deep, but we try to keep things organized so they're easy for you to find. So I'm working with the IPFS one right now. So let's go in there, and let's collapse the nav here so we can see better. So you can see that the code here has some interesting tokens, etc. So what we are using here is a library called lit element. Once you start using this library, you will love it. It's a base class for creating web components. And what we try and do is, because we want to remain agnostic to libraries, whether it's React or Vue or Angular, we just create web components, which makes it agnostic to all of them. You can work with all of them, and it makes it super simple. So lit element is one of the fastest, most lightweight ways to create web components, and that's what we've incorporated in here. One of the biggest benefits of lit elements is that when you use lit element and compose HTML strings within code, as we are, like right here, we are using a JavaScript a template, you still have full code code coloring and highlighting and syntax. So that's really, really great. So here I am looking at this particular action card. So let's say that instead of a document, we are dealing with maybe insurance policies or something like that. So let's say get policy, and we can say get policy document. And you can see here that my action card, because it's a web component, has very simple HTML syntax. It's easy to read, and it's easy to follow. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save here, Command S on my computer, and instantly you can see that Webpack got triggered. And if I go back to my thing here, my view, my test harness, you can see that it got changed. So it's really very simple for you to change. Now, our goal here is not for you to modify the harness documents. Our goal is for you to use this particular canvas to make the changes. But you can borrow as much code as you want from any of these modules. You can essentially copy paste it, and it's really very simple to do that. So for example, if I go in here and I show you the code for the homepage, your app page, which is Dappiness, you can see that it's right here in dapp.js. I'm gonna shrink this up a little bit. And the first thing you'd want to do is probably remove some of our template code there, which I will do. We'll leave the Dappinism there and hit save. So we have a blank slate. Great. And now what we can do is go ahead and copy uh, some aspect of this that we want. So if you want the get policy in our Dapp, let's just go ahead and copy that and put that right here and hit save. And we've got that same thing. So it should, oops, let me go ahead and query that document ID again so I can get it. So I'll copy that and come back here. And you can see that I just moved a little bit of HTML and it still works. So we've made it so you can take our code and piece it together, modify it as you wish, and craft your Dapp. Now, you don't have to use our action cards if you don't like it. We also have something called an action button, which is actually what this is. So you can create your own UI. You do not have to use our UI. You do not have to use anything in here. You have the full stack code. It's MIT licensed. You can change it as much as you want or as little as you want and make the Dapp yours. This, I just want to point out, this whole area here is our workspace, but your Dapp does not have to have that. If you can see, there's a little arrow here. When you click on that, you can see your Dapp actually as it would appear to if you were to deploy it independently. This workspace here just makes it convenient to interact with things, including, for example, the server API. So we've got a server API here, which is wired up with Swagger so that you can exercise API calls that you create. And I don't have enough time to go into the server part of it today, but you can see that you can execute. So this here is calling the contract run state active, and you can see the responses and things like that. So all of this is geared to make it super simple for you to build your dApps. The workflow is basically for you to first go into dapplib, change and edit your contracts as you wish, then go into the dapplib library here, add JavaScript wrapper functions to call into your contract using blockchain post or blockchain get. And then finally, go ahead and change the client and add the client-side code to it. So that's your full stack app that's possible. Now, one thing I did not mention that I just want to point you out to is we also provide unit tests. So for every module you have, there is a full suite of unit tests that is included in here and auto-generated for you. Unit tests are very important when you're doing blockchain Dapp development, because your code is immutable. Once you deploy it, you cannot change it. So it's very important that you write these unit tests, you test things out thoroughly. Now, one of the great things about DappStarter is that when you create your contract code and then you add your code into dapplib to interact with it, your unit tests all just call into dapplib. So you are simultaneously testing your JavaScript code and your contract code all with the same unit tests, and it works really, really well. So a few things in closing that I want to talk about real quick is that over here, as I mentioned, you can keep coming back and making as many different projects as you want. There is no limit. You can click create other. And one of the things I want to re-emphasize is that we are continually adding more modules here. So it's very important for you to join our Discord. We'll have announcements there about what's coming up, etc. And we are looking to really engage with the Matic community with our NFT composer. So we'd love to have you join our Discord server so that you can see that announcement when we have the NFT composer up, and we'd love to have you build upon that. So that's my session for today. Thank you so much, and I hope you'll give DappStarter a try. Thanks. I think it's over to you, Harish.
Oh man, you're making me go after that, huh? Awesome, Nick. That was really cool. I actually quite enjoy that demo. I think I'm gonna use DappStarter
Thank
myself
you.
for
Yeah.
what I end up building. Thank you, everyone. I'm just gonna share my screen here. So appreciate the opportunity. Talk a little bit about the 1 million wallets campaign that we here at Covalent are working on with Matic. My name is Harish. I manage all things related to developer relations at Covalent. And while I'm sure many of you are familiar with the graph, we at Covalent, being a smaller startup, we like to sometimes refer to ourselves as the graph 2.0, but everything that we do from our tech stack, our ELT tech stack, to our vision of how to make blockchain data accessible for both devs and non-devs is quite different than what the graph does. So in the next few minutes, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the 1 million wallets campaign, our work with our ecosystem partner Matic, and our APIs. So at our core, we at Covalent store, index, and serve up blockchain data, which includes all the decoded logs via a single unified API to bring transparency and visibility across all blockchain networks. So what we're talking about is essentially a single API to pull data from multiple blockchains with zero code, unlike what you would have to do with perhaps using the graph, where you would actually have to build a subgraph. So what we've done is we're probably one of the few, in fact, only projects to fully index the entire Ethereum blockchain, which means that every single contract, every single wallet address, every single transaction, every single decoded log event is immediately available for you to access. And we've actually just finished indexing both the Matic mainnet and the Mumbai testnet in time for this hackathon. So you do have access to using these APIs to pull all the data that I'm going to talk about in just a second from both the Matic mainnet and the Mumbai testnet. And we'll also be announcing that we've indexed the Binance Smart Chain, and we've got more networks lined up to add to our data ecosystem. So for the EtherPunk hackathon, we're supporting one of the Matic network bounty tracks, which is the 1 million wallets campaign. And really the purpose of this campaign is to celebrate the creativity and diversity of the blockchain developer community by focusing on custom themed wallets for any application. So we ran this campaign for the first time back in December as part of the Gitcoin GR8 Ethereum hackathon. And it was extremely well received by both devs and non-devs. And so we're taking the same approach here to run this campaign as part of EtherPunk with our ecosystem partner Matic. For EtherPunk, we're offering 3,000 in bounties for those who make use of the Covalent APIs to build on the Matic mainnet. And in addition to this, for any of these other bounty tracks, if there are projects that do utilize the Covalent APIs, we're also offering bonus bounties for those projects as well. And just to give you a sense of the types of projects that we've seen folks build in the past. So that would include things like a Discord chatbot, which tracks certain wallets and provides those notifications. We've seen DeFi dashboards being built. We're able to take advantage of pulling in data across multiple DeFi protocols into one place. We've seen all sorts of interesting wallets. We've seen NFT slideshows, so pulling in NFT data, putting it together with the image of the token into a slideshow format with audio. We've seen ROI and cost basis and tax calculators being built. And what's interesting for Matic is, we've also talked about potentially leveraging the APIs to build prediction markets, potentially tying that in even with the Twitch platform. So we're pretty excited to be working with Matic, given the traction that they've received that Pranav had mentioned at the beginning, the ability to scale, the lower fees and faster block times. And so just starting at our docs page here, let me just talk a little bit about some of the key properties of our support for the Matic network. So the key thing that as a developer you would want to keep in mind is just simply the chain IDs being used in our API. So for the Matic mainnet, the chainnet's ID is 137, and for the Mumbai testnet, it's 80,001. And so what we support for Matic is what we call the Class A endpoints, and the Class A endpoints basically means generic endpoints that are supported across for all the different networks, including Ethereum and soon to be Binance Smart Chain. And so that is things like getting the balances. So this is a list of all your ERC20, 721, 1155 tokens along with their spot prices, getting all the transaction records, included all the decoded log events. And we've also got the ability by passing in the contract address to get those decoded log events, as well as by passing in topic hashes, and we fetch all the decoded log events associated with those topic hashes. We also have a mapping built in place. So we actually do a real-time mapping of tokens. So for example, if you go to the Matic token mapper and you see the maps between the Ethereum address and the Matic address, we map those as well in our as part of our sort of Ethereum to Matic mapping, and fetch the real-time prices for the same token that would exist on the Matic network. So that's sort of just a very high overview of our support for the Matic network. And I'm just going to show you using our API docs how you can actually pull some of this data. And so you'd first need to get an API key, which is completely free for developers to get at this stage. And our API docs, we sort of broken it down into the Class A and Class B that I had mentioned. But just to take a look at some of the key endpoints here that can be accessed. So if I were to look at, for example, getting the log events by contract address, you can actually test out everything here in the browser. And so if we were to look at getting, let's say, the log events, the decoded log events for, let's say, wrap BTC. So from here, I'll just go take a look at what the contract address is for wrap BTC. We'll copy that Matic address, and that will be pasted in here for our address. The chain ID, so for Matic mainnet, that's 137. We'll set, just some starting and end block that you want to fetch that data for. And we can just simply hit the try button. And so here is our JSON response for all the decoded log events that have taken place between the start and end block for the wrap BTC contract. And so here's your JSON data, but we can actually also get this in CSV format. And so if you wanted to do your analysis, you can simply just copy the CSV information here, paste it into Excel or Google Sheets or whatever you want to use, and you can do your analysis there. So let me just bring it back to our 1 million wallets campaign page. So in our docs, we've got, again, all the information that I just covered here, along with code templates. So we have provided a series of code templates. These templates are hosted on Replit, where you don't even need to have an account. You can actually just simply run the code, and you can sort of test out the code before you elect to use it. So we've got code templates for building Chrome extensions, building wallet dashboards, NFT dashboards, taking a look at transfers. And so the idea is you can use these to sort of play with the API, get a feel for the types of wallets that you can build, and then use that for your actual project. And we've also got the judging criteria set up here. And with Matic, we're happy to be providing support both through their channels and also through our dedicated Discord channel. So all the information, covalenthq.com/docs. And we're excited to be part of this hackathon, and we look forward to seeing what kind of incredible wallets that you build on the Matic mainnet.
Thanks a lot, Harish, for that overview. And thanks, Nick. The session was pretty informative, and really great managing to cover that in 30 minutes. And yeah, Pranav, thanks for that sweet introduction to Matic as well. So thank you all for joining in. I think we had some questions, pretty much answered most of them. So I think there are 2 more questions. Pranav, could you take a look?
Oh yeah, sure. I'll just give you the links. I'll just paste it over here. Definitely.
Yeah.
Can I fetch user all active token balance? Yeah. The second question is for you, Harish. You can see in the Q&A.
Sorry, where was that question?
It's in the Q&A section. Are you able to find it? The bottom?
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yes. Any ideas for the hackathon? Like, sure. Nick, Harish, Pranav, do you want to share some ideas?
Oh yeah, sure, definitely. So, currently, if you know, NFT and gaming space has been booming on the Matic networks. Aave deploying their, application instead of Ethereum, directly moving towards the Matic networks shows the strength of Matic networks. What I would suggest right now is that you can build a DeFi plus gaming, something like that. So currently there is a lot of cross pollination happening, a lot of gaming with a lot of staking and DeFi coming into the picture. So what I can suggest right now is that, instead of building a basic voting or supply chain dApp that you guys normally build, go for an NFT or a gaming dApp. That is something you have seen in Web2, and that is something which can be benefited with the token economics that blockchain might be having. And also I would suggest you that, just go ahead and try Covalent to query all the data of the blockchain. It's seriously very easy. I try to do that, and also, try to use Decentology to start making the application. So yeah.
Good advice. What I'd like to add to that is, first and foremost, if you are using DappStarter to build, please on Discord, if you have any questions, want some help, let us know. We'll hop on Zoom. We'll even have office hours to guide you along. I love hackathons, and I've competed in a lot of them. My one advice to you is to not try and do too many things. Try and do one simple thing and make it very successful, and don't sweat details. Wherever you can, stub things out. Focus on the core part of your application, and make that work. um, Pranav talked about gaming and DeFi, and NFTs. We are working on NFTs, and unfortunately for this hackathon, it won't be there, but for future hackathons, it will. But one thing I would advise you is, if you're interested in building a game, you should take a look at the GDevelop open source game platform. It allows you to create beautiful game UIs with characters, etc., and you can just wire them up to your application, so you don't spend a lot of time crafting a UI. So if you just Google GDevelop, you should see that. And we are going to include that in DappStarter in the future. So that's my two cents of advice.
Sounds great. Yeah, so looking forward to a lot of interesting stuff being built. And as far as building on Matic goes, it's almost anything you can think of, and you can want to build it on Ethereum, and that just directly applies to building on Matic. So that's opens up a lot of possibilities there, like suggested. Yeah, and I think that's it for this session today. Thanks a lot for joining in. We'll be sending out all the speakers' contact links so that you can contact them anytime you'd like. And looking forward to some really great hacks being built on Matic.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, really
Thank you,
appreciate being
guys.
on this. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, bro.